Hello there, it's Carrie Rhoades here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. Today I am going to be making a super fun card. It is a Z-Fold Slimline card, and I'm going to be using the brand new Gnometivity Stamp and Die Set to create this card. There's going to be several mini scenes in it. So here's the Gnometivity set. You can see it is a giant stamp set with all the characters to create a nativity scene, but with gnomes. It's so cute. And there's 5 different sentiments in the set, all with dies to cut them out. Now I've already stamped and colored and die cut all of these out because I did this for the full release video at Trinity Stamps, and it was time to now play with this. Okay. We also have the Good Tidings stamp and die set. So this is made to add on to the Gnometivity set if you want. It's got the little shepherd, the angel, a couple more sheep, and 2 more sentiments. So I'm going to be adding this on to make my card today. Another stamp set I'm using is the Woodsy background. This has a slimline sized wood grain background stamp. I'm inking this up with black ink, and I just found a scrap piece of cardstock that I'm going to stamp this on because I wanted my little stable to have a back to it and not just be open to the sky. I am going to use this piece for that, but I'm not going to leave it white. I'm going to bring in some Distress Oxide ink and ground espresso and my blending buddy brush that I've dedicated for brown inks, and I'm just going to fill that in with the color. I decided to go ahead and leave a center white highlight on this just to kind of help draw your eye to the back of this, maybe to give it like a little bit of depth, you know, a 3D effect. So I'll do that with more ink on the edges and lighter in the center to complete that, just like that. All right, now this was a little bit bigger than I needed it to be to go behind my little stable piece there, so I just trimmed it down, and then I'm going to continue getting all the things ready to build this card. So the Z-Fold part of the card, the front panel, is a 9 1/4 by 3 3/4 of an inch piece of white cardstock. I have scored this at 8 3/4 and at 4 1/4. So those measurements were up on the screen, so you can easily duplicate this if you want. It's going to be a really large slimline card, not the typical 8 1/2 by 3 1/2. But if you put this in a legal sized envelope, some legal size envelopes are kind of smaller, but most legal size envelopes will hold this card. All right, so now I am adding a night sky to my background. I started out with hickory smoke for the lighter color, and then I'm darkening up what will be the top of the card with black soot. So I'm using my Blending Buddy brushes that I've dedicated for gray and for black. Now this is the piece that the Z-Fold is going to attach to. It's 8 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I'm doing the same exact thing. Half with the gray ink, which will be at the bottom, and then the top half is that black night sky. And that is just going to really make a great background for this card. I think it's going to let those stars really shine. So my first layer of stars is just water. I'm splattering it with my Distress sprayer, letting that set for just a second, and then I'll pick up any excess water there with a paper towel. I like to let it set for a minute so it can really oxidize. All right, next I'm using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I'm collecting some, it's very thick, with a paintbrush, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water so this is loose enough that I can splatter it with my paintbrush. So I'm just going to really carefully tap the end of the paintbrush, and that's going to allow some of that splatter to transfer on the background and give me some nice bright white stars. I love how this turned out. So I'll do a few passes because as I get a smaller amount of paint on the brush as I continue to tap it, the splatters get smaller. So I want to make sure I've got bigger and smaller splatters on both of these panels because I need it to look like it's a continuous scene. All right, I have a scrap piece here of black foam, like fun foam. I'm going to cut the stable from this again so that it can be raised up off my card, but I don't have black foam squares, and this is just going to take this really big piece and fill in the whole thing. Otherwise I would have had to use a lot of tiny black foam squares. So this will work great for this because I want the foam squares to not stand out from the back but blend in. So the fun foam was the perfect trick for that. Okay, I have this like super duper dark brown cardstock that I'm going to use to cut some hills from the embossed edge Hills and Slopes die set from Trinity, and I am lining up the first one with the panel I'm die cutting the second one because I want where they meet to be about the same height. Again, making one continuous scene. So I've got those pieces now. My die is about 8.5 inches long and my paper was a little bit longer than that, and so that's why I had to snip it off. But if you have an 8.5 inch piece of paper, it'll fit. But remember, my card is about 8 3/4, so therefore I did a little bit of snipping. Now I did one of the other hills, but I just wanted this smaller hill, not both on that big slimline, because I want one section to have a higher hill, and that's going to be for my little shepherd. All right, so now I'm cutting the hill in half that's going to be on the Z-Fold panel. I didn't want it to go over that bump of the scored line, so cutting in half is just so much easier. So I'll glue those two pieces down, and then I will have a little bit to snip off on this one because of where the scored lines are. It leaves, you can see that tiny bit of an opening. I'm tucking in that second hill I die cut behind the first one on that second side of the panel. Now this flap on the end is where we're going to attach this piece to the card front base, I'm calling it. You'll see how it all comes together. Now where that white seam is, I just took a really dark brown Copic marker and kind of colored that in so it's a little bit more seamless. Okay, it's time to start building all of the things. So I'm putting down that background, which is going to be the inside part of my stable, and here's that stable front piece that has the fun foam on the back, and that fun foam is just going to help it blend into my dark night sky. So I'm gluing that into place, and I want to make sure I don't have any glue on that part of the roof that extends over the fold, so I wiped that off. Then I'm going to add in all the things. So I have "For unto us a child is born," which is the sentiment on the front of my panel, and then I'm going to add in Joseph and Mary and the baby Jesus gnomes. They're really cute. Oh my goodness. And I feel like some of these you could use for other things. If you use them independent of each other, especially this little girl with the braids, you could really use her for any kind of gnome card. I think it's really cute. All right, so there we've got our little sheep, and he is so cute. So you can see he's kind of sitting in the hay or something. And then our little baby Jesus, those two pieces I put on last are both popped up with foam squares. All right, then we need the star. So I just needed a little strip of foam because half of this star is going to be on the little stable, the other half off of it. So there is my first scene. This card is broken up into 4 scenes, really 5, because I do the inside of the card too. So I sketched it out using my sketchbook, my Cardmaker's sketchbook from Trinity Stamps. There you can see each of the sections and how I kind of sketched it out. You don't have to be an artist to do this, but if you don't know about the sketchbook, it is so handy for capturing card ideas that you have in your head, capturing card ideas that maybe you have seen on a video, such as this, and taking notes about it so you could recreate it, or even use a layout that you like that on the mini slimline section. And this book actually has A2 size section, mini slimline section, A7 size section, and slimline. And then you've got the panel that just has the dot grid, so you can do any kind of card, like a shape card. So I was able to sketch out what I wanted each of these little miniature scenes to be, and it really helped me figure out how I was going to arrange all these pieces, because there are so many in these 2 stamp sets that you can really create a large scene like this. And I just felt the need to have all the parts of the story in this one card. It's kind of, you can tell the nativity story, the birth of Jesus story, in the opening of this card. So there was the shepherd on the hill. The next little scene I'm going to create, which is going to be on that base panel, is this one with the angel. Oh, so fun. And then I'll add a sentiment here that says "Good tidings of great joy." But just so you know, I have a little trouble right there. This is not going to work. Good tidings of joy, great. No. So luckily, I used liquid glue. I could peel it off really quickly and rearrange those words. So there's my little angel floating in the night sky. And then for the 4th section, that's where I'm going to put my 3 wise men. So I'll glue those down, and I'm going to put one the one in the center popped up onto foam squares, and this just like completes the scene, you know, because then the wise men come, and yeah, it's just really fun. So popped up that middle one just like that to complete it, and then we just need to attach the two pieces. So you can see how it's going to look when it's finished. You always want to make sure that your front scene and your last scene can go together. All right, I've removed the backing on those double-sided adhesive strips. That's the rip and stick tape in 1/4 of an inch that Trinity carries, and I'm just going to make sure everything's lined up how I like it, and then I'll press down on that to make sure it's really sealed. I also use that really dark E49 pen again where the two panels meet. Now for the inside of the card, I have an 8.5 by 3.5 inch panel of gray cardstock that I'm just dusting with the residual ink left on my blending buddy brush around the edges, and then I will add my little hill there. I cut another one for the inside, and there's two characters that I couldn't leave out of this card, but that is the camel and the donkey. They're so cute. I had to make sure I use them. So they're going on the inside of the card this time, and then it says, "Oh, come let us adore him." And I love in these two stamp sets, you've got scripty sentiments and you have ones that are more block letters, and it's just a really cute set, but also helps remind you of, you know, the reason for the season. All right, I'm adding that to the inside of my card base, which is 8 inches by 9 inches, scored at 4 inches. So it's a large card, but I needed to accommodate that stable. So I had to make my card panel large, and I have made a card like this before, a Slimline Z-Fold. This is actually the third one that I've made. I'm pretty sure 3 I've made, and I have those other 2 to show you as well. So I thought you might like to see that. If you watch the Trinity channel, you for sure have seen one of them. So I'll show you those at the very end. Stay tuned. But first we need to embellish. I have some gold stars. These, as you can see, are gold. There's several different sizes of stars, and they have a little iridescent shine to them. So I'm just going to add mostly the smaller ones to this card, and that's just going to add to that night sky feel. And also I love when you tilt it, you can get a little bit of shine back from it. I think it's really fun. And oh, I didn't tell you, but the where the little gnome is, look how it says, "Oh Holy Night." So each section or miniature scene in this card has its own sentiment. Isn't that fun? I think it's such a cute card. I am so tickled with how it turned out. I've been holding onto these images, really trying to think of what card I could make because I wanted all the things on it. So here's the original card I made, the Z-Fold Slimline, and it's the same size as the card I just made. And that bunny burrow set that I'm opening right there is on the retired section at the Trinity Stamp shop, and it is currently on sale if you're watching this during Black Friday weekend, so you should definitely go check that out. Plus there's over 70 new embellishments in the shop. The Cardmaker sketchbook is $10 off. The blending buddy brushes are on sale. So there's so much to check out. Grab bags. You want to make sure you hit this sale. So I will have the shop linked for you below, so you can click over there, take advantage of the sales, and maybe get your hands on these adorable gnome stamp sets. They are so much fun for the holidays. Thank you so much for stopping by and for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know with a thumbs up, and I will see you all again very soon on another Trinity Stamps video. Happy stamping! Bye!